Coming from the Truspace, we ain't answer to big neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace. What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. Here's my partner.
Hey guys, this is Hearth. Welcome to Truspace.
Yep, and this is our weekly horoscope. So let's get into the energies of this week and see what we're all going to be hit with. So looking at Monday, the 28th of November, the moon in Aquarius is going to be making a sextile with Mercury and Venus in Sagittarius. How do you think we're all going to be hit by this energy?
So right now we're going to be emotionally reactive, being fixated, rooted, even stubborn about our thoughts, ideas, ways of thinking, and the people we're associated with for the sake of what is unique, original, so we can rebel against what's old and outdated. That's the type of energy the moon's gonna put us in, and this is extreme emotional detachment. If you think the moon in Capricorn is dry, the moon in Aquarius is like dry but with an air energy to it. You could be dry but you're also able to talk. You're not catching feeling. You don't look as grumpy as an moon in Capricorn, but you know how to socialize and things of that nature, which is very beneficial. For the masculine side of Saturn. It's like Capricorn, but it's Capricorn walking and communicating essentially. So right now, having this sextile to Mercury and Venus, this is gonna allow us to see all the opportunities of how we could utilize our associate and all those unique original ideas that we want to utilize to rebel against what's old and outdated. How can we mix them with a sense of spirituality? How can we broaden our vision of what we want to deliver to the world and how to progress it? But sometimes we need to beautify it. Sometimes we need to give meaning and reasoning, which is kind of funny because Aquarius is part of the God signs, just like Sagittarius, but Sagittarius is what takes us to Scorpio, part of the social signs. But so before we get to the social signs from the God realm, a lot of filtration needs to happen. And I feel like Sagittarius is the gateway through it, putting that Aquarius energy in a way like that it's better for society, more open-minded, that's broader for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great energy because when the moon in Aquarius goes into Aquarius, like you feel more community oriented or more so open to looking towards community and joining energies with people. But you really emotionally respond to things that are true, that have logic and reasoning to them, that stimulate you intellectually. These are what emotionally respond to what you feel levitated to. So for sure it creates so much opportunity with Mercury and Sag, kind of helping it out, giving it direction, because Mercury would either run off in Sag and can go into all of that, but this emotional urge to include other people and to represent pure truth, it's kind of giving Mercury and Sag some direction of where it can go, and then you can go as far beyond into those areas as well. Venus being there is really adding into like a sensual feel to it, but it's really a whole experiment too, But this sounds like great social energy for you to really develop wisdom and an understanding from other people in your social life, and through interacting with other people, through connecting with other people, that there's a lot of wisdom to collect on Monday, that you'll feel inclined to join, that a lot of times like just like what you're saying with Aquarius, it could be like kind of like dry sometimes or lacking of the emotions, but sometimes that's good. Aquarius is the water bearer, so it kind of controls the water, controls the flow of emotions, and that's the seat that they want to be on, which is Jesus walking on water type shit. But this is not a bad state. It could be bad, because feelings and emotions don't always make logic sense. So it could tear up, but sometimes you need to add a little bit of logic to how you're feeling. and it can really help do that. For sure, making you more open to doing things, making things that maybe you would have emotionally react to before. The moon in Aquarius makes you more so indifferent. Like you don't look at it the same. If it logically makes sense, you can feel more inclined to go and do whatever it is. And then Mercury and Venus is making you adventurous and willing to explore new realms of thought, new realms of sensation. So really direct that into making the right connections with the right people. You'll be surprised at what you can learn and what you can experience.
There's something very interesting. Like I heard Dole talks about how similar Aquarius energy into Sagittarius, because both of them they want to achieve freedom. They want to like rebel in
Yeah.
different ways, but and witnessing those energy in different ways is gonna be interesting too. But you wanna definitely use the moon to be what directing both Mercury and Venus and Sagittarius, since Mercury is debilitated here and Venus could kind of get lost. But if you have a group, if you have a thing you want to be unique and original in, then you could direct all that energy to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the moon in Aquarius conjunct Saturn, a little bit more dryness here. How do you think that adds to the energy?
So like this is you meeting grandpa, and grandpa gonna get really close to you and see your results, since Saturn been traveling so far in Aquarius. I think right now it's like 19, 18 degrees basically. So like it wants, every time the moon conjunct Saturn, it wants to see how far you got with your associate. Did you create enough restrictions, boundaries, responsibility on who we want to associate with, or like, oh, and does it not necessarily have to be physical people you associate with. You could associate with people online, on Telegram, on Facebook, which is something was very big since the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. Everybody wants to find a community online and things of that nature. So like Saturn conjuncting Aquarius for Saturn, the Moon conjuncting Saturn is you feeling confident or not with your associate or whatever ideas that you want to be seen as unique and original in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Saturn and the moon don't really mix like that. So yeah, Saturn is really holding up that scale to the moon, or they don't easily blend. Because the moon could be idealistic and wants to be comfortable, and maybe take a break and relax or whatever. And Saturn's not about that. Saturn's about that consistent, stable work. It wants you to be reliable. It wants to know what you're able to do. So, like, if you've been flunked out in terms of Saturn energy, and then the moon comes here as acting like your esoteric GPS to show you the emotions that you had accumulated, where you are in the esoteric realm, and how wherever you are in the esoteric realm, and how that's influencing you to react to Aquarius energy, the moon, and how you mostly react to things, is that signal to let you know how you're dealing with that energy on that level. And yeah, Santa's gonna come and tell you about all the flunked out thoughts that you're going. You want to intellectually debate things, or you want to fixate on certain thoughts, but it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Or it's not going to lead to anything. Maybe there's people you can talk to about these things too. But if you're planting the wrong seeds in that area as you're speaking about these things, you'll realize it's like that you're kind of flunked out. That the people that you're talking to may be flunked out, kind of going towards an ideal or a future that seems good on paper, or is right on paper, but it's not taking the entire reality to account. And this is what Saturn's kind of been trying to go down, because teamwork is the dream work for sure, but you'll be able to build the structure so much faster, especially with Saturn at the ending periods of its cycle, being in Aquarius, almost going into Pisces. Structure and stuff happens very fast. We've been building a lot of things for a long time, for over a 30-year period. A lot has been developing. Look at how much structure, how much things are built up into a person's personality in the first 30 years of their life, and then in the second 30 years. But there's a lot accumulating now, so things take structure and form a lot faster. So where you're casting your net, you may find yourself deep with social obligations and responsibilities that aren't aligned with truth, or that those aren't aligned with thoughts that you want to fixate on anymore if you're not taking care of that area. But the moon's going to let you know what areas need to be healed and what sets you right. So really peep your emotions, how you emotionally react right now. It may seem impractical with the structural system that you have going on, but it's giving you keys to the weaknesses in the foundation that won't let you stand, and you really have to be privy to that. Even though Aquarius is making you more in the thought realm, you're gonna have to give credence to your emotions, but put it in an intellectual way. And then Moon in Aquarius is trining Mars and Gemini. More air energy added to it.
Yeah, more air energy, so you better make sure you know how you're gonna handle your emotion and what type of people you're gonna be associated with, and what type of train of thoughts you're gonna be in. Since having this trine to Mars in Gemini, I think Mars is still retrograde if I'm not mistaken. So this might things more confusing, where Mars in Gemini is forcing you to put more passion, aggression, desire to really go out there and communicate, not necessarily to get a conclusion, just but to go there and build that mental energy, that mental capacity to debate and argue with people like rabbis. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to lead, basically using Gemini energy leads to nothing. It just leads to you eventually writing something called Torah, Talmud, Mishnah, us showing us your Mercury energy basically, and so this is gonna be very good because it's gonna allow you to really have so much energy. It comes to the air realm, really allow you to break through sentimental concept, and maybe dive deeper in certain things you wanna learn and things of that nature, but also benefit Aquarius in the sense that Gemini will loosen it up and make it more mutable so it doesn't rebel against who it's with, and make it much more, give it the necessary messages that Aquarius wouldn't listen to, because we would think Gemini is a little kid or that type of energy. It's not necessary and things of that nature. While Aquarius could benefit Gemini by giving it a direction, giving a higher purpose. Gemini, you don't just go around and talk and argue and write books and write Torahs and things of that nature. There's something bigger out there, and I could talk way more than you. I got more than you, like, and things of that nature.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like Aquarius may have you fixated on certain thoughts, on a certain ideal, certain perspective, but Mars and Gemini is creating that branch for more curiosity, just like what you were saying. And Mars and Gemini is really applauding us to equip our energy with, just like what you were saying. It's not about coming to a conclusion like that. It's about getting on your feet. It's about, learning how to bob and weave into a conversation, to be witty, to be in the moment, to speak, to exert your energy into conversation and in thought in the moment. Gemini is like truth in the moment, whereas maybe Aquarius is like sustained truth, and then Libra is like fighting for truth or establishing truth or something along those lines. That's why it's the Justice card.
Isn't it interesting how Gemini is the lover cards, but a lot of people wouldn't associate the concept of being so good at communication as being the lover.
Interesting, yeah.
Just think how people get
interesting.
This that Gemini ability to communicate might be able to seduce so many people.
Absolutely. I do remember hearing that there used to be different connotation in the past where they associated different signs with different planetary rulerships and stuff like that. So maybe there was a Venetian spin on it as well. But I do get what you mean, and Gemini being the twin aspect too, it's like the unification of your mind, which is interesting.
At first, it didn't make sense. I'm like, Gemini romance. I'm like, yo, they'll break your heart. That's it.
Don't kill me. That's funny. Yeah, and it's just one partner there. It's not a whole harem, or it's not a whole line of them. I get what you mean, but yeah, Mars and Gemini would really open up, just like what you're saying. But the Moon in Aquarius is giving it direction, making it focus on specific truths. But still, you're establishing the conversation. You're exerting conversation, trying to be in the moment. So it may lead you to conversations where you can get more information, and more understanding, more wisdom in areas that you wouldn't, because you allowed yourself to speak in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget about that energy on Monday. The moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. How do you think that'll hit?
So it's gonna be reminded more of that whole Saturn Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus, which is we've been through that energy for a long time. And so it's basically the moon is
Mm-hmm.
making us emotionally react to our associate, our unique, original idea that we want to rebel against what's old and outdated on Earth. Taurus, but was Uranus is debilitated. The ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is in Earth, but it's debilitated here. We're trying to plug a high source of energy that exists so far out in existence to some where we are, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and this is gonna be the real grind. He uses continuously getting a reminder of how much energy you need to put into physical reality so people can see how you are unique and original. But this is powerful because it's teaching you how to utilize your nervous system in the sense of that basically exerting your own existence into reality instead of allowing yourself to be so lazy, laid back, and not be so into developing a new values, new systems, new assets, and things of that nature. You don't want to get stuck in that Taurus mentality where basically you start worshiping the old things, the old idols, which is gonna be against Uranus in Taurus, and then basically.
Yeah, because you won't be able to show your individual uniqueness. There's no room for the newness and uniqueness and old tradition that's supposed to be stable, that's supposed to not be changing. But yeah, you're right. There's a radical change that is going on our values and what makes us stable,
Mm,
for sure. The moon making us care about Aquarius even also represents our likability, how we want to be loved. Leo is like how we give love, how we love. And then Aquarius, its counterpart would be like how we want to be loved from the world at large. So as you're emotionally responding to how you want to be loved is coming into conflict with initiating your own uniqueness in the old traditional standard, because you want to be loved and you want to be accepted and you want to be part of the gang. But right now, your uniqueness and that energy that you would put towards the group has to go towards establishing a new stability for the sake of the group, though. So it's not separated from it. So it's kind of like having to put the greater
mm,
good ahead, to know, even though you're being cerebral, but to know the most logical thing is to get into your body and to figure things out on that level so that you can get into your head later on.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, Monday's heavy mental
Ha-
energies, heavy mental and social energies going on. So there's a lot of, and Aquarius is really a lot about information too.
exactly.
So trying to not let yourself be too distant and use that lack of emotional intensity for you to really analyze what's going on, and in the subtler things, your subtler feelings and emotions, and put those in logic and how you associate with the world.
Like you guys might hear that people associate Aquarius with aliens, but that this starts to speak about the high level thought that's unique or original that they have that might seem alienistic, out of this realm, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get what you mean,
Yeah.
and it's funny. You can look at thoughts. Thoughts may not be exactly what you think. They're physical, well, not physical in how we think about it, but there's things out there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about in terms of channeling and grabbing from there, Aquarius is that's their game, fixed air. So if there's like a collective mind and how we all think, Aquarius is going to get into that space easier than we are, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's how Monday's looking. Looking at Tuesday, the 29th, Mercury in Sagittarius is opposite Mars in Gemini. How do you think this energy
Oh,
is?
so this is gonna be interesting. Mercury is gonna be debilitated here in Sagittarius, opposed Mars in Gemini. So it's gonna put you off. Mars in Gemini is
Mm-hmm.
making you being passionate and like I said about debating and arguing basically for no reason, and then having this heavy opposition to Mercury in Sagittarius. You starting to think about spirituality and to broader your vision and imagination about God, your moral system, how to be faithful, optimistic, and trying to put words into to communicate these things is gonna really you basically Mercury is making you forced to speak about God. You're trying to talk about something that's get very hard to talk about. While Mars was in Gemini for a long time, allowing to communicate to humans, understand human interactions. And this opposition is like, how can I bring this new understanding of God into all these people I've been debating, arguing with, and things of that nature. But it's gonna be very hard due to the opposition. It's gonna be your passion and desires versus what you're really thinking about it. It's gonna be Mars gonna make you get into egotistical arguments, but Mercury is like it's like I have a higher purpose. I'm trying to think about something way more broader than that. So you gotta be careful too, since Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and things of that nature. But the
Mm-hmm.
opposition is putting Mercury in a heavy disadvantage. It's almost like a rabbi who's want to argue about the Torah and never allow us to reach to the point where we can understand God on a larger scale beyond the Torah, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like you asked the rabbi why Solomon had 700 foreign wives, and y'all niggas still think that the blood is pure and not untainted. And he's gonna keep on opening up the Torah, and without answering the question. He's gonna talk about the Talmud. He's gonna talk about all these things without answering the question. But uh, absolutely, I see
Yo,
a lot of frustration. Yeah, what were you
one
gonna say?
more thing. I was watching this funny ass debate between this Christian and this rabbi, where this Christian was trying to figure out why the Jews were into using the oral traditions, but basically the whole debate led to the Jew telling him that we don't give a fuck about the Torah or the Bible or none of these books. We're just trying to tell you we have the capability of creating infinite amount of books because it's an oral tradition. It all comes from our fucking mind.
That's what the Jews. At the end, like that's the gist of what you said. Eh?
Basically, yeah. Because the
Yeah.
Christian was trying to debate with him. Hey, we understand you guys come up with these things from thin air, but you don't want to admit it and things of that nature. And the Christian was trying to get him to basically admit that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because that's what basically Catholicism or the Pope argued with the Jews. It's like, you guys are full of shit. We know that the entire story is something else than what you guys talking about.
Interesting. I started thinking that, like in terms of the Dark Ages, that the current view that we have of the church isn't necessarily
You
true, especially with the more revelations of what Jesus actually meant. Like the elite had to have known the mystical understanding of it, behind the scenes, and wasn't, doing things for no reason. A lot of things going on behind closed
And when
doors.
you look at how powerful the Vatican is and the Catholicism is, you gotta see, like, you telling me they did not have the power to go also against them mentally? They didn't know they were also using their mind too?
Absolutely. It's a book of psychology. It's a book of psychology. But that's what it's gonna be like. It's funny that we're talking about it, but it's carrying that type of energy for sure. Where you're trying to talk about things like God, spirituality, and your personal experience to these things, and you're trying to put them to words. Trying to put your experience to words. Say you're trying to put your experience and your journey into words, and it's like you kind of have to mention that barbershop when you went to the barbershop, even though it's not part of the main story. That's when you got the idea to go to the ice cream parlor, and so you talk about the barbershop, and then now it's an extra prolonged story, and then you may start losing people, or that's where Mercury and Sagittarius, where it gets broad, where it's so broad that it's hard to focus on a particular thing. So with Mars, us trying to exert our energy into the conversation, into the moment, it's hard to talk about something broad in the moment. So a lot of frustration may come from that energy, but don't run away from it. It's like it's okay if you don't fully communicate your message, or if you don't really make sense. There's meaning and purpose in you trying to explain yourself and bringing these words to this and meeting the challenge of trying to handle the things in the moment, because Mars energy is just only going to be better by handling that energy. You, aka, you're going to learn how to handle your frustration and exert the right amount of Gemini energy into a situation.
Exactly, exactly. This is the type of energy where it seems like you're looking above, and then he's just basically ready to you're looking for a message type of thing.
For sure. Mercury and Sagittarius is sextiling Saturn and Aquarius. How do you think this will
Now
hit?
this is gonna be interesting as opposed to the opposition, because this is gonna allow you to bring that broader understanding and this thing, all this thinking you've been doing about different visions or imagination, even though you may not have the capacity to communicate about it properly. It's gonna allow you to see opportunity, how you can introduce that to your associate, the people you've been trying to create restriction boundaries, and so you guys could do something amazing. And obviously these people you've been working with, they're gonna be able to understand all your what you're talking about, what you're communicating about, as opposed to the opposition where in Mars and Gemini, since it's much more closer within the distance. So definitely this is a time, this is a great opportunity to use your thoughts and how you could be think about being much more optimistic and faithful about what you're doing to really push Saturn and Aquarius, add a color to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I bet it's even coming from that square of you trying to communicate these things by being in the moment, being in the conversation, and trying to bring words to your experiences and your ideas of spirituality and morality and your future set, your broader perspectives. But Saturn's there to catch that effort, to help you through that and provide an opportunity for practicality to come out of it. AKA, you may get some very valuable information, even though you may not communicate what you want to get across. You get information that leads to you being better, building stability better, or having a more structured social life, or how to communicate about these things, for what ideas and uh, thought patterns that you want to fixate on with your associates and stuff like that. For sure, for sure. Tuesday may be confrontational. It's even Mars Day, but there's a lot of knowledge to be gained from it. A lot of knowledge to be gained from it. On Wednesday, the 30th, the moon in Pisces is squaring the sun in Sagittarius and Mars in Gemini. How do you think this is going to hit?
So this is where things get very foggy and things of that nature. So since you're gonna be emotionally reacting to being flexible, adaptable, indecisive when it comes to feelings, emotions, but all your feelings and emotion are related to dreams, illusions, your subconscious mind. And things of that nature. So right now you're taking the people you're associated with, the people you're gonna rebel with, and now you guys going to the drawing board. You guys want to basically take your concept, your plan, and then ingrain it to the almost the world subconscious mind and let it know this is what we gonna do. But this is the period of time where you could add more dreams or illusions, add more faith and things of that nature. By having that square to the sun in Sagittarius, you you're gonna get to see how much you actually need to learn in terms of what is your subconscious to communicate with you, since the sun basically your self-expression wants you to express all the wisdom and knowledge that you gathered so far and things of that nature. But that square is forcing you to be very picky with what you're emotionally receiving from your subconscious mind, but also how you're acting out when it comes to your sun energy, since things could get very reckless when it comes to Sagittarius, since you want to take risk in every single vision that you see. You may not know how to exert that energy in a proper way, which leads sometimes to the negative side of Sagittarius energy, wasting energy and being very you might end up being very broad, but you end up being very flat and things of that nature. This is where a lot of people will respect Jay-Z, that he's able to be so broad and fulfill so many shoes. But this is where people see Jay-Z as being fake, being phony, and things of that nature. Because if you're into Jay-Z and things of that nature. But either way, having also the opposition, well, not opposite, but the square to Mars, you add more fogginess to it because your emotion reacting to your dreams or illusion. You sow that deep in your subconscious mind. Your actions and your self-expression is basically trying to show everybody your understanding about God. And then Mars is basically you trying to argue for the sake of arguing and not debate people mentally. So this is really putting you in the space to really how to be a mental pilot and not get lost in all the mutability, and learn how to utilize all those different mutable energies to build your world, because it's literally giving you a bigger capacity of broadness from every single element point of view except Virgo. But this is really good if you're very good at not getting lost.
Absolutely. Wednesday's really gonna throw you for a loop where you may not know what's hitting you, and you may feel the urge. Say you're fixed sign or you're a cardinal sign. You may feel the urge to wanting to grab and to hold on to something, but it's really more about not holding on to something, to really seeing where things are going, to really take a back seat, to understand that things are in a transitory type state, especially with your emotions, and we're in sad season, so we're really paying attention to our broader perspectives. We're paying attention to morality and attaining meaning in our lives. So on that's a whole adventure, and we're kind of broadening the scope, but the moon and Pisces energy is so subtle, so we may not notice. And like Sun and Sagittarius is going on a journey, but it doesn't realize that the journey could be summed up in one word. It was like, oh, the real journey was for me to realize that I am good enough, or that, whatever it is. The understanding that's comes is really simple, or it's really subtle. It's not a whole storybook, and that's what Moon and Pisces is making you ink to, but the sun can't see it. So there's this whole subtle information that's coming to you, that's coming out as a whole, but you're on the journey. So it's like, or it's like building a puzzle where you don't really realize that it's a whole bunch of pieces. Your attention is putting the pieces together, but you don't realize that it's a whole picture right now. But you're kind of being hit with the feelings and emotions of what the whole picture is going to be like. So you really might not trying to know, and then yeah, just like what you're saying, you're trying to argue and exert energy into the conversations and be in the moment like that, while all of these broad concepts are going. So it's a real loop, but really try and hang in there, and understand that this is transitory energy. When the moon goes into Aries, you may have a little bit more clarity on how you feel, and where you want to direct that energy. And same thing with Sagittarius. It's more so about sitting on the journey, and trying to expand yourself, not trying to be settled with right here with what you're seeing. So know that there's more to expand into. And yeah, try not to get too frustrated with the Mars and Gemini, because there's a lot of wisdom to be gained, and that you need to be in that situation. You need to experience that tug on your anger to learn how to manage it, to learn how to not get angry into a conversation, but to exert your energy in the right amount. So you exert your passion came out. You allowed passion to come out, but you didn't let them use that energy, and now you're aggressive. Now you're angry now because you let them get at you. You let them get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And then Venus and Sagittarius is opposite Mars and Gemini.
Mm-hmm. So that's gonna be interesting.
Venus is catching up
Yeah,
now.
since Venus basically love, desires, where you want to unify in, and Sagittarius, you trying to develop more love, appreciation into your spirituality, broader visions of reality, and learn how to give meaning and reasonings to maybe better desires that may not to lead to a like a bad ending and things of that nature, especially coming from Scorpio season, where we became really aware of what we needed to transform and things of that nature. So having this opposition right now is forcing you, Venus. Obviously, you appreciating God, spirituality, and broader vision, but it's gonna be hard for you since you're down here with Mars and Gemini, not to argue and not to debate and not to win argument being egotistical, but it's for the sake of gaining more information, learning how to be more worthy, wordsmith, and things of that nature. So you definitely wanna learn how to mitigate this opposition in the sense that understanding that uh, that you want to communicate about things related to God and bringing basically a high understanding of things, all those energy that you said, because you're gonna bring it down here when it comes to Mars in Gemini. That's gonna actually allow it to direct it properly.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, what you want on Wednesday may not necessarily be where you should be putting your energy. Try and keep that in mind too, because we're talking about Venus and Sagittarius. Or you might be wanting a little bit more than you'll be able to exert energy into the thought process or handling it all on that day. So don't try and expand yourself a little bit too much. Venus and Sag can lead to like shopaholic type energy, like over expansion. I've seen a lot of people
Venus in
with
Sagittarius,
like problems
you
like
would
that
destroy
with Venus and
you would destroy your
Sagittarius.
liver, you destroy your hormones. I could just see.
Yeah,
I
man.
already feel it.
Yeah, man. Yes.
I
So yeah, that's on Wednesday.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's how Wednesday's looking, man. Wednesday's a whole just chalk Wednesday out of it, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
that's
move
it.
on to
You don't even
the.
know whether you even know which body you are in, your dream body, your
Yeah,
subconscious. Your like it's gonna be that crazy.
Yeah, don't do anything too significant, too important on those days. On Wednesday, let that be a learning day, and don't try and hold on to too much on that day. Let that transition, let that pass on to what it's supposed to be, and you'll have more clarity, more understanding afterwards. So don't get caught up in all that confusion. I mean, because then you'll end up getting flunked out
Yeah, like
as
like
well.
literally, like that could set you bad. Yeah, for it.
So that's Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, December 1st, Moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune and Jupiter. How do you think this is
So
going to
yeah,
go?
with the moon, you're diving deeper into your subconscious and mind, and it's really becoming all about learning how to be sensitive into the influences that, like when peace dealer, he talks about the influences that's attacking us. But people be talking about what the fuck is the peace dealer talk about? Influences, people, things behind the scene that's stopping us from moving. This is where it comes to basically our subconscious mind and how our subconscious mind was programmed against us. Literally, a lot of the things that you want to do, you being stopped due to how your parents have been programmed, the people around you being programmed, and things of that nature. So every time the moon is in Pisces, this is you becoming very sensitive to the psyche of how your subconscious mind works and how things influenced it. So the conjunction to Neptune, there's this more sensitivity. So you become more aware of how that realm of reality actually affect physical existing and things of that nature. And especially with the Jupiter conjunction, since we know Jupiter's get hit back into Aries, and since it's already came back from Aries, because it wanted us to understand our subconscious mind first, then go into Aries to see how our brain and nervous system gets affected by it, then retrograde back into it and see, oh, so this is how it works. So now we should tweak our subconscious mind, tweak our mind, so we could have a better nervous system function. So this is the key to the game. So this having this moon conjunct Neptune Jupiter, I think Jupiter's gonna go. It's already went direct, so this is the last conjunction it's gonna have here before I think it goes to Aries. So like this is gonna be quite
Hmm.
powerful in terms of setting the tone for yourself subconsciously.
Absolutely. Really going over and really showing you the result of your belief system, of your experiences, and how they had shaped your influences, your subconscious mind, the strings that pull things behind the scenes, which is very interesting. If you looked at a lot of blocked artists, what they would talk about, or when you're digging into things with everybody, we're all creatives, and that's spirituality at the end of the day too. But specifically focus on people that acknowledge that, like with the artists, a lot of them would talk about things that was said to them in the past, certain opinions that's still stuck, like a fifth grade teacher that had commented on a drawing, and somehow with them 30 odd years old, and that's still held in their mind, which blocks certain creative flows and stuff like that. Like stuff like that is serious. So those are the things that get drummed up in those moments of sensitivity, where you really can tap into a lot. This is a highly intuitive day, and it's even Thursday too. It's a highly intuitive day. I would suggest for you to really take things slowly, and with a grain of salt, because of that sensitivity, to be aware of that and to utilize it, to not put yourself into overwhelming situations and confusing situations. If you have to go through them, way to store, but just understand that things can get really confusing, and note that you will be extra sensitive on that day. So really try to utilize it to dive in deeper into your subconscious mind and doing some of that spring cleaning. Just like how the moon is ruling the lymphatic system, and your
Mm.
what do you call it? Your self defense, your immune
Mm-hmm.
system, protecting you.
And well, it's in Pisces, you'll be surprised of how a lot of people wouldn't think your skin is involved in immune system, but your skin needs to interact with the physical world to allow you to develop a response. And guess what's exalted in Pisces? Venus. And what's Venus? Your hormonal system. So based upon the interaction with the atmosphere, your skin talks to your immune system, Cancer, through a trine 120 degree, which allow it to create opportunity to understand how to create immune cells to handle what's going on outside of you, basically.
Absolutely. And if you start, like sweating, or say even pimples and stuff start to form and stuff like that, that's literally toxins trying to get out your body. That's another area of where toxic can get out of, which is the subconscious mind, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
feel the moon is trying to do. It's trying to drum up all of that social energy, all of those influences, and really show it to you, show you how you feel about the beliefs that you have, about the journey that you are on, where you have expended your energy and your emotional energy, and how do you feel about that? Do you feel used and abused? Do you only find more confusion? Do you feel that your sensitivity in your subconscious mind isn't is filled with nonsense, or it's all contaminated with things that don't belong there?
Mm-hmm.
This is a great time to tune into that sensitivity and to really um, cleanse it. And then look at the moon in Pisces sextiling Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn. Once you hit that sensitivity, Pluto's like, it's like you don't know, you gotta let that shit go. You don't know that has to
Mm-hmm.
go, or else you won't have no stability, or else your reputation's through the water, and you won't be able to build a reputation before, because everybody's gonna look at you like you're flunked out, or you're just gonna go get overwhelmed, and you're unable to take power and control over your position in the world, your status, your jobs, your ambitions, what you're trying to build towards, the status that you want in your life. I can see that really throwing you for a loop if you're not prepared for that sensitivity.
Mm-hmm. Um, the system, the government Capricorn, like loves Pisces, because like it could see how we could utilize certain aspect into Pisces into developing the world. This is where Capricorn could work with Pisces energy, but where it doesn't agree with
Mm-hmm.
it, where it adds too much mysticism, too much meaning and reasoning into things that's not in reality, which is unnecessary for Capricorn. So right now you're gonna have like really see the opportunity on whether you're flunked out or not, and whether you could utilize that to take power and control when it comes to your business and status. Basically, can I use my subconscious mind to actually take power and control over my business, or my subconscious mind full of bullshit, so now I can take care of my business and status.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Capricorn, especially Pluto in Capricorn, is going to use this shit. So if you're sensitive and you're in that state of being, the energy is to be used. It. So either somebody else is going to use it, or either you use
Mm-hmm.
it. So really, take direction of that sensitivity, and that subtle being in your subconscious mind, really
Mm-hmm.
being able to tap into the emotions of your surroundings, utilize that to your advantage on Thursday. You'll be able to find stability, or you'll be able to let go of what needs to be let go, because the feeling of the severity of the intensity of Pluto is going to be there,
Yeah.
the opportunity to take power and control over your responsibilities is going to be there. So take that open hand for sure. Mercury and Sagittarius is squaring the moon and Neptune and Pisces too, so more of that confusing energy as we're trying to communicate about spirituality and all of that. It's like we're mostly reacting to the whole lot of it. So it's like Mercury and Sag, you don't know where the conversation's gonna go. Moon and Neptune is already talking about where all the other conversations had went, and how we feel about that now. So you won't be able to know, but you can utilize that as letting you know how you want to feel at the end of that conversation, and that may give Mercury and Sag better direction, so it doesn't get lost as more of a feel of the general vibe, so I can at least look out for feeling that way based off of whatever thoughts and whatever is being communicated.
Definitely, yo. This course is gonna make you go through like a lot of good learning opportunities to know how to direct Mercury and Sagittarius while being debilitated as you're diving deeper and deeper in your subconscious mind, which is gonna be it's very hard for you to communicate about. But like this is good because Sagittarius is gonna add the light for you to see, busy your subconscious mind. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just be aware of your sensitivity and use that sensitivity to your advantage. And then looking at Friday, the 2nd of December, the moon is in Aries, making a trine with Sun in Sagittarius. How do you think this will hit?
So me emotion react to initiating and giving birth to visions, imaginations. But all those visions, imaginations, based upon what we've been dreaming about, what we've been having illusion about. This is gonna be the theme we're gonna go to war about. The moon is gonna fall here, so it'll be highly selfish, which is good and bad because sometimes we gotta be selfish for our own things, but sometimes it leads to worse things since it doesn't create opportunity for people to help us and things of that nature. But even there with a trying to sign Sagittarius, this is good because it's almost like allowing you to direct this higher, broader understanding by being reminded of your original passion and desires.
Yeah.
Being reminded of Abraham. What did Abraham do? Why was Abraham great? Why was he the first? Why do we appreciate him instead of getting lost at the end of the story where we know who's Joseph, who's Jacob, who's Esau, and things of that nature, the conclusion. But then what do they remind you? Oh, about Abraham, the one who began everything. So this tries to be
The original
yeah,
covenant.
the original covenant. So it's gonna really creating this opportunity for you to get but it's also good from Sagittarius perspective since it could maybe tell Abraham you didn't have to go that far. Maybe you didn't have to slaughter animals. You have to convince your descendant to do these things and curse each other and things of that nature. Sagittarius is bringing things.
Because it knows the meaning.
Exactly. So it's almost like bringing things full circle. So definitely take that energy and create those opportunities to really build your vision, imagination, really, so you can prepare for when the moon goes into Taurus, where you're gonna ground these things, where you're gonna stabilize them. The last thing you want to stabilize, because Sagittarius in conjunct Taurus, so we can see that ahead of time. So we gotta watch out. Sometimes this Sagittarius energy could make us too broad, and we're not being too serious about Uranus and Taurus, which is very important. This is why Sagittarius is very floaty in a sense. But that's later on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And everybody's gonna be in their little selfish bag, or thinking about themselves, or being a little bit more emotionally responsive on that day. So don't even take it personal if people, give you some snippy comments, or get a little bit more aggressive with their. Just know that the moon's in Aries like that, and know the sun's in Sagittarius. So there's meaning involved into that. Whether you can attach meaning and purpose to everything now. So it really can be about that, and you utilize that selfishness for you to go and spark. It's okay to be, just like what you said. It's okay to be selfish sometimes, as long as you're using that to be productive. If you're not talking to people, or calling to people, or dealing with other things, you better be using that. If you're using that to go and better yourself or push yourself forward and move towards your dreams. You know, it's less of a as a, oh, you're putting me off so you can go and do this, or you're putting me off so you can go and do that. You're putting me off so you can do something that was clearly important to you. So it
If
works,
anything, you
and people applaud you for that selfishness
if
at the end of the
anything,
day.
people be like, yo, I gotta be selfish about my own shit too. Yeah.
And you remind them, and you serve them as that lesson, and now God's speaking through you, for
That's also
sure.
the whole Aries Libra kind of dynamic too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then the moon in Aries is conjuncting Chiron, so it may be really sensitive or add to the sensitivity and to the emotions because the area is a little bit wounded, where a lot of mistakes have been made in terms of catering to our personal desires and catering towards our individuality. So people may be cautious or scared. Oh, is that selfish? You may have that second thought. Oh, or am I being selfish, or should I hold that back and stuff like that? And that may put you in more of a defensive mode than what you had initially intended to. Because now, because of that second thought, you hesitating. Aries hates that shit. Aries hates that hesitation. But because of that prior womb of you hesitating and doubting your desires, doubting your individuality, now that Sag can go, and now it's being all reckless and taking that energy out of pocket.
So definitely watch out. You're gonna make mistakes, but those mistakes is gonna teach you on how you're gonna direct your brain and nervous system better, so you don't go through as much sensitivity to people. Maybe speaking against the way basically how you express yourself, the way you see yourself. It's gonna be very important. All that sensitivity is gonna get healing.
Absolutely, and then you could place a lot of meaning and reasoning to it, and have understanding of why you felt the way about your individuality and personal desires, and really put a wrap understand it, have a real internal vision of what it is, and you can better project of how you want it to be.
Exactly, exactly.
For sure, and that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday, the 3rd of December, the moon in Aries, making a trine with Mercury and Venus in Sagittarius now. So, more of that energy, but with Mercury and Venus now.
So basically, as your emotion react to initiating your own passion and desire, you're seeing the opportunity on basically how to bring your higher understanding and your own interpretation, your broad interpretation on God and what you love and appreciate so far when it comes to your understanding about your visions and things of that nature into basically the moon in Aries. And this is gonna allow Aries not to be so selfish and so direct or single minded, but understand that I could direct these energy better. Like there's nothing better than like a teacher who could fight. The fighter is Aries, and then a teacher is like Sagittarius. But then this is what makes her perfect because your emotion want to fight, but then you think about a higher purpose. You're appreciating and you're indulging in a higher purpose. And so this is gonna allow you not to get lost in your that moon fall in Aries type of energy.
Yeah, and how like you can see how Aries and Sag energy can lead to more recklessness, but it can lead to those real leaps of faith where you really bet on yourself because of you emotionally feel your personal desire and your individual expression, and it's Sag season, so it's really taking the Mercury and Venus and you putting it in the most optimistic light where you're not demonizing your personal experiences anymore, where there's direction, you're more opportunistic with these mentalities of how they can go, and how instead of, oh, I feel like doing this, oh, well, this is gonna happen, this, that, and the third, you'll think, oh, well, this could happen, the happier aspect, and they'll like this, or this could actually work, or we can really put these things together, and you'll put it in more of a positive light, where that may gaslight you and really push you off the edge, make you think a good idea, a bad idea is a good idea. But if you're more in tune with yourself and you understand your individuality and you have that space to trust your desires, go ahead and chase it, and you'll with the optimistic mind, you may shoot farther than you'll ever had expected, and and really join into that Sag season energy where you're really expanding your sense of self, and really accumulating your knowledge by jumping to the experiences that are right for you. And then the moon in Aries is sextiling Saturn in Aquarius now. How do you think the moon in this alignment's hitting?
So the moon, as your emotional reality is expressing your individuality, your own vision, you're seeing the opportunity on how to introduce that to the collective and how to basically take create enough restrictions and boundaries on who you're associated with, because that's very important. Your associates gonna allow you to express your individuality, that fire element, which might be against them since they were burning through reality. This is why it's so important to know who you're associated with, who you're grouped up with, because that's gonna allow you, your group's gonna allow you to know how far to go and how not far to go, and things of that nature. So, because it's the moon in Aries and then sextile Saturn in Aquarius, so you definitely don't want to start attacking your own associates, the people you grouped up with, since Saturn naturally falls in Aries and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whereas that moon in Aries, where they can take that spark, there's an opportunity for you to take that internal motivation and you emotionally responding to your individuality, and you being a broader light and applying that to your bringing structure to your associations. You can be the bright and shining light amongst the cluster of stars, where just like with Leo's is a sun, but that's a star, and Aquarius may be the constellation, a bunch of suns together. So that moon in Aries, it could serve in that flare of individuality and individual expression, could really ignite your associates, and give them more motivation. Them seeing you is reminding them, oh yeah, I'm gonna start too. And seeing you shine bright in the constellations, like, oh yeah, we all can shine bright, and they add it into it too. So it's an opportunity that's there for the taking. Now, trons are more easier
Huh?
to jump on. It's like it just
Just give me
takes
one.
away. Sextiles, you have to reach out your hand and grab it. So the opportunity is there for individuality to really play a better role, a healthier role into your social life, and how you want to be loved, and bringing stability around that. If you extend your hand out there and make that bridge. Yeah, and then the moon in Aries is squaring Pluto in Capricorn. How do you think that's gonna hit?
So Pluto and Capricorn, you taking power and control comes to your business and status, is gonna see whether you're directing your emotional energy in the right way. What, because it's very important here, since your emotion react to your visions and passion and your individuality. But sometimes Aries does not give a fuck about what's so important for Capricorn, business status. Because a lot of people don't think about how Aries is your brain nervous system, but what's around it, what's around it, it's the skull, Capricorn, and things of that nature. So sometimes a lot of people with Aries energy, they forget they have a skull, a structure, a bone around the brain nervous system. So every time they have to express their energy, it's almost like they have to break through the skull and things of that nature, which is kind of very funny. So having this quiz and teach you about where you directing that energy. Are you directing the right way that allow that facilitate Pluto and Capricorn to break through into a better structure, not a bad structure? That's almost you basically having a bad inflammation in your head that damages your brain and things of that nature, versus having a good expansion, a good breakthrough that allowed you to develop a better understanding, a better awareness, and maybe that even like loosened up your skull, your brain a little bit.
Absolutely, for sure, I see that. Um, the Pluto is even the higher octave of the moon, and that's how it plays out. So it's like the moon is like what you care about, and Pluto's like what you're obsessed about. So right now you care about your individuality and your individual expression and your desires, and expressing that as it comes. Really being in the moment, and being emotionally responding to you as an individual. You care about that, but you're obsessed with having power and control over the role that you play in your life. You're obsessed with the responsibilities that you have in your life, and there's a lot of things that you need to let go and reconcile. So what you care about is coming into odds with what you're obsessed about, and you're forced to confront that fact on how what you're obsessed about, maybe not catering to your individuality, and you caring about that. And and the moon adding more care into that area may force you to be like, okay, I gotta let go some of these concepts or feelings towards Capricorn energy and how I'm approaching it, to make it more acceptable to my individual desires, and make sure that that's part of it. Just like what you say, you forget that you have the skull around your head. It's funny, how much fire sign moons I met that told me they have ADHD, and it's like, yeah, I don't, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You're literally a moon Aries, or you're a moon Leo, or it's all of these. It's like, what are you talking about? You're a fire sign. Man, society is not built for fire signs, which is
A
weird.
hundred.
They want us to go to the church or something like that.
Like fire
You're
signs gotta
waiting for the
be
missionaries to pick
like
us up.
fire signs gotta be taught outside, like somewhere they could move actually their body. Like only
Yeah,
earth signs could sit down in class and like it will actually might work out for them. Maybe them and air signs.
facts. It's like maybe all the other signs, like you catch the air sign. The church, say the church catches the air sign, he'll be able to read the Bible and preach it, and quote it. The earth sign will be able to ground it, and the water sign they might find the hidden meaning, truth, and stuff like that. But the fire sign is not gonna know what the fuck's in the book. He knows the vague gist of the story of Jesus, but the way the nigga kicked it with so much fire, the way he told you the story, Jesus had
Yeah,
three bitches. He
yeah,
added
yeah.
so much detail to the story and made it so much flair. He
He,
didn't even know the whole story, but he went with
they
it.
might even use his interpretation too, since fire is all about
Yeah,
burning through reality and bringing things too.
yeah, I mean, all of a sudden you start hearing people talking about, yeah, Jesus had three bitches, and you're like, what? When did Jesus had three bitches? And what was that part of the story? Oh, pastor over there. That's how fire signs preach,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, that's the energy of Saturday. Very adding more fire to the flame, more aggression, more personal desire, adding into that, adding to the expansion energy, adding to the conversations that are being had. More of your individual self is starting to show through on Saturday. So try and give more way for that healthy selfishness on Saturday. It's okay to be selfish as long as it's being healthy.
Hmm.
So that is Saturday. Looking at Sunday, the 4th, Venus is square Neptune in Pisces.
So
Anything this is going to end.
Venus is basically
Venus in Sag.
Venus in Sagittarius can get tested by basically Neptune and Pisces. Since Neptune and Pisces is just you developing, learning how to utilize your subconscious mind, and learning how not allow yourself to get outweighed by outside influences. And this square is creating a learning opportunity for you to know how to what to love and what to appreciate through experiences, which can allow you to give meaning and reasoning into what actually makes sense, which can obviously prepare you for when Venus goes into Capricorn and things of that nature. So you better right now give meaning and reasoning to those experiences that was gonna lead you actually somewhere and things of that nature. Since right now you're taking a lot of risk, you might take a lot of risk when it comes to love and things you appreciate, things you might eat. On the negative side, take risk on the things you indulge in. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And and then
Absolutely. There's a lot of
and the square is gonna be reminding you. It's like, hey, I'm your subconscious mind. This is not how I see it. Make it look like how I see it. And like you Sagittarius, this is you giving the light to it, but you gotta match it with Neptune and Pisces. So it's gonna be where it's coming from, where it's projecting from.
absolutely. That's like making me think about like how we approach relationships, where there's all of these belief systems, limiting belief systems that we have, or illusions around specifically relationships, but about the world in general, that we don't realize that we have these beliefs that really shape how we look at the world. So with Venus in Sagittarius, and we're being that adventurer going out for the journey and experiencing all of these things, we may not realize that these certain belief systems shaped how we look at relationships. So as Venus is going through those experiences with these false beliefs, it could be doing all experiencing a whole bunch of nonsense because it believes that a relationship has to look like this, or because it believes that it has to be like this, and it starts getting all this wisdom and meaning and reasoning about what not to do, and all of this. But if you were to check and be more in tune with your beliefs, more into that subtle energy, you don't have to go through the lesson to be, oh, now I know,
Okay.
you can have that foresight to know that this experience isn't really for me. So we applaud you to do that, because Venus and Sagittarius, it's like relationships and connection is just going to come to you like that, where it's broad. People's things are broad, their perspectives are broad. Maybe people that they wouldn't have connected or started relationships with before, now they're a little bit more open to it, to the new thing, to this new experience, to what's out there. So there's a lot more possibility that is out there in the relationship realm, in the relating to realm, whether it be a person, place, or a thing. So your belief system may really hold you back from experiencing and gaining wisdom and knowledge on the right things. This is a person who's had a bunch of relationships and comes out of it knowing how to deal with liars, knowing how to deal with cheaters. And a lot of people be wearing that like it's a badge. It's like, I know how to spot a lie. It's like, yo, that's sad. It's sad that you know how to do that, because you had to go through those experiences to get wise in those, instead of going through experiences where people were happy, healthy. That's why when I see naive people, or people that are open, it's like, damn, you a treasure. It's like, yo, they would have roasted you at my school. You would have went home crying. They would have been roasting your ass and stuff like that. The people who can't handle that type of things, like they would ate you alive. But I love that purity, the openness to relationships, that you expect people are going to do the best out of you. And what did they say? It says in the Bible, how you're supposed to be gentle like the dove, but
Well,
be as wise as the
serpent.
serpent. So where you have the wisdom and knowledge of evil, you know all the occult tricks, all the spells and witchcraft that they can throw on a nigga, all the magic squares, but you don't use that, to go and get at people. You don't go and use that to start manipulating people and get into their minds and making them think things and doing all that different type of stuff. You understand the evils, so you're gentle because of it. That's the kind of space that we want to get into, for sure. So Sun and Sagittarius is making an inconjunction to the North Node in Taurus. How do you think the inconjunction's hitting? You were touching on it earlier.
So definitely watch out as our self-expression getting more broader, and us learning how to give more meaning and reason to what we want to express and things of that nature. We get definitely watch out for that in conjunction, since it's almost like, since it's usually like you're ascending, you're flying, since you're giving meaning and reasoning to things, and you're having all this faith and optimism, but like, it's like you're forgetting reality, you're forgetting the third dimension, since Earth is in Tartarus, and then Sagittarius is where the galactic portal hole is, so you no longer give a fuck about reality, but you should, since this in conjunction is going to remind you of the North Node of Taurus, the Uranus in Taurus, and it's almost like putting in the energy, okay, I gotta go to the center of universe to learn more knowledge, and then come back to Earth to actually utilize it. And I allow that in conjunction to make me forget that I have two bodies that I have to match at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't, you
Absolutely.
can't be one of those people who reach ascensions and then decide to leave Earth, basically. Yeah, like you might need to come back. You might have something to tell us.
That's funny. That's jokes. This is making me think of the Sun and Sag in this situation. Is making me think of like Steve Jobs and like Apple, and maybe like the North Node is like your BlackBerry. And I feel like the North Node made your BlackBerry chipped or it's cracked and stuff like that. So you need a new phone. You're in that new situation where you need the newness, and you feel you're pushed into a new situation. But Sun and Sagittarius is like he's trying to tell you it's touchscreen. You could do all of this, that, and the third, and you just have the busted up BlackBerry, and you don't understand what the nigga is talking about. But it has the foresight and stuff like that. So you may be in that situation where the iPhone's being pitched to you, the new next thing that's really has meaning and reasoning, what you really should be expanding yourself into, and putting your attention towards. But you may be clinging on to the old, but the North Node is making the old seem It's letting you know that it's old, or what's stable and what's secure. It's letting you know that that things are shaking up. That's why I was referring it to the cracked phone. So it's like you feel the newness, but it's putting you into a position where you have to be a little bit more optimistic and broader perspective, which is taking you away from what has worked and what's been stable for so long. So for sure, it's putting you into a new position where you may feel like you have to take a leap of faith, more leap of faith energy going on. But that's what Sun and Sag season's going to be doing. It's really taking a leap of faith, and that's how you get the farthest, by taking those leaps of faith, by taking those risks. But Taurus energy may not understand that, but the North Node is like, no, Taurus, let him take the leap of faith because then we could have stability somewhere else. He needs to jump so we could be stable. Don't you see your phone's broken? Don't you see stability is being shaken up? Don't you see that things aren't the same anymore? Or the jump has to be made. So listen to this nigga talking about the iPhone and some touchscreen. What'd you say about touchscreen? What's an app? You have that conversation.
This in conjunction is definitely reminded me of like something that Brother Polite speaks about on how spirituality actually means the revenue your church could generate, which is something a lot of people would never think about. I'm like, yo, that's the most spiritual / practical things I ever heard in my entire life. At that point, I believed in spirituality.
So the Virgo comes through for
at
sure.
that moment, I'm like, yo, that's the realest shit ever. So like, having this in conjunction right now, I feel like this is a great things to think about. Think about how you can use your spirituality to generate revenue like the church did.
Absolutely. And you never thought that you can that your experiences that you went through, or your spirituality or your moral system, would have come to application in those matters of money, in those matters of stability. But here they goes in, or this opportunity came through because of your spirituality, because of your moral system, because of your optimism. Here comes the stability rolling in when they told you, nah, that wouldn't work, or that's wild, or that's out there. But because of you maintain that optimism, here the opportunity comes in.
Isn't Sagittarius the Temperance card? I think.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You gotta definitely have temperance when it comes to the whole concept of Sagittarius energy, because this is where they might like might be able to mentally compete with the church in terms of preaching and things of that nature, but this is where they could cap on how far you go because they set up the structure and things of that nature. So you definitely need to watch out when things are like that. You don't want to be the next person they crucified, basically. Yeah. Always keep that in mind.
I get what you mean. Absolutely, for sure. Before, you used to just have to chop a nigga head off, but now, you get tired of chopping niggas heads off. You already chopped a bunch of niggas heads off, but you realize that, I can I can chop off their head esoterically, and then they just running around like chickens in the esoteric realm. Now I really even got to worry about them in the physical realm anymore, for sure.
Yeah. And actually, from a biology point of view, this in conjunction is interesting since we understand your hormonal system plays a major part when it comes to building muscle, but Sagittarius is all about going through experiences so you can expand your tissues and things of that nature. But that in conjunction always like puts you in the energy that whenever you want to expand, you gotta take time to rest and remember your values and what actually grounds you down. Like there's no point of developing what Dr. Ali Muhammad calls like inflated muscles versus muscles that might be smaller but much more denser but much more stronger and things of that nature.
Absolutely, yeah, and how a lot of the bodybuilders are just misplaced fat, and it's fat that's being cushioned around where it looks like muscle, but it's with all of this addages that's on top that's not actually muscle.
If you literally look at the bodybuilding scenes, it's literally a science experiment on them using drugs on them to see how far you could expand their tissues. That's it, and all that tissue is just tissues without value. Like, what are you gonna use it for at that point? That's why bodybuilding, in my opinion, is the most useless sport ever.
You would catch some niggas that you go and catch them say in an awkward position, somewhere low, somewhere where you never really lift weights, and this big ass buff ass nigga can't do it because things like that often lead into aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
and how the body looks, but not necessarily functionality.
Exactly.
So in one way, the nigga could do 100 push-ups or whatever it is. You can do as much push-up as anybody, but you put it in a different perspective. You tell him to bring something from over here or something like that. It's like, oh shit, the nigga can't do it. Stuff like that. Even though he's big and
He
strong,
literally,
or looks that
like,
way.
he literally pushed himself outside reality. Like literally, like.
Facts. But yeah, guys, that's the energy of the week. Um, if you like the video, like and subscribe to the channel, help support us, help us grow. Give us comments, let us know how you feel. Check out our Instagram, Truspace underscore. Check out our website, truspace.biz. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Stay safe this week.
Mhm. Definitely watch out. Heavy generational energy. A lot of Sagittarius, a lot of Aquarius, a lot of Pisces, a lot of Capricorn.
Be more introspective about these aspects,
Mm-hmm.
and not get overwhelmed into the all this collective energy that's going
And
on.
you get to see why do they associate them with the God realm and things of that nature. Yeah.
Damn right, for sure. Yeah, peace out,
Take
y'all.
care.